support the Potsy and Tino show and listen to them on a regular basis. Excuse me!
Hey, what's up, players?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Pots and Pans Network brings you the Tag Team Champions of the World, the Potsy and Tino show on our regular night, Tuesday night. Our theme song, as always, is brought to you by Adam's House Cats, called The Wrestling Song. It's available on iTunes for 99 cents. You can catch him on Instagram at SCTino. You can catch him on Twitter at HootieFan91.
And that wound.
You can catch me on Instagram and here on YouTube, Rob Pochak, on TikTok, Rob Potsy Pochak, and of course, you can follow us on the Facebook page, The Potsy and Tino Show. Tino, we had quite a week of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, like quite a week.
Yeah.
You know, because we had just watched AEW Dynamite last week, leading up to the pay-per-view. Now, obviously, last week we didn't get to talk about Rampage. We didn't get to talk about Smackdown, the MSG show, or anything else. But you know, before,
I didn't know where to go to watch the MSG show, so I didn't see it. Did you watch it?
They didn't broadcast it. You know,
Okay.
and it's funny because a lot of times they'll put that one on like on Peacock or, you know, what used to be the WWE network, and now apparently they just decided not to do that. But they filmed a bunch of the content.
Yeah,
it's
dumb.
What's that?
It's dumb. I mean, I get they film it so they can add it to angles and things like that, but I want to see it.
Yeah, it would have been one that you know, obviously would have gotten people watching Peacock on that Saturday night. However, you know, I thought the AEW pay-per-view was Saturday night because all their other pay-per-views have been Saturday night, and then you tell me, no, it's Sunday. And
because
like,
when you were texting me that, I was watching Rampage, and they were like 48 hours. I'm like, well, 48 hours ain't tomorrow.
Well, before we get into all the pro wrestling stuff, I know that it's only been since Thursday, but Tino, what is up with you, my friend?
Oh, since Thursday? So I did. So we lost another damn. What's up, Chris Barrett? We lost another pet. So,
that's right. That's
the
right.
little one. The little dog was she was 16, so we knew she was getting older. Wednesday, she started getting bad. Then Thursday morning, Thursday morning, Thursday night, she wouldn't eat. Friday morning, she wouldn't eat. She would barely get off her bed. So I'm like, well, I picked her up in the bed and like put it on the deck just in case she wanted to get up and go outside and go to the bathroom. But it was cold, and Nicole's like, just bring her in the house. So I brought her in the house, and she just lay there all day. And she somehow got off the bed onto the floor, and she laid on the floor and half on the bed, half on the floor. So I put her back on the bed. And every once in a while, you know, because she was a Jack Russell Chihuahua mix, but because she hadn't been eating and she hadn't been holding thing down, she started losing weight. And it was kind of hard to see if she could, being that small, if she was breathing. So I would go every once in a while and just kind of like nudge the bed, and she would raise her head up. I'm like, okay, you're still with us, right? So she hung in there all day Friday, and then Friday night, obviously, because she wouldn't get up, she's laying in the bed, she's peeing. I'm trying to make sure she's clean. And Friday night, Nicole, we were watching TV. She goes, I think I'm gonna hold her. I'm like, okay. So she wrapped her up in a towel and kind of held her, but because she peed, she kind of smelled. So Nicole had to kind of hold her head away like that while she was holding her. And she held her for about an hour. And then she said she felt her kick. And she goes, well, maybe she's uncomfortable, and put her down. So I'm still sitting watching TV. And Nicole, when she laid her in the bed, she goes, I'm going to go like clean up. Because I think she said, but when I laid her down, her head flopped. You might check that out. And as soon as she said that, I'm like, that's not good. That's not good. And she went in the bathroom, and I looked, and you know, you've seen animals die when they die and their eyes are open, their mouth's kind of open. And I kind of nudged the bed. So I went back, and Nicole's in the bathroom, and I sat on the bed. And I think she could tell by the look on my face. She said she's dead. I'm like, yeah. Then she bust out, she burst into tears. But I'm like, but you look at it this way, though. You know, she died you were holding her. You know, she felt the love. You were holding her. So I mean, she died in your arms. That's probably the best way she could go, and it was peaceful.
Yeah, besides sleeping.
Yeah. So I had to get up and buried her Saturday. And so, you know, so we went through the whole Friday night, Saturday, you know, Nicole was pressed. And then I started feeling sick Friday night, but I think it was like sinuses and whatever. Thank you. I started sinuses, so that's why I was like, you were like, you want to come and watch pay-per-view? I'm like, dude, I didn't get out of bed Sunday. Like, I didn't get out of bed. I stayed in my pajamas. I was just so tired. And you know, you've been sick where you get that brain fog, and everything's like, woo, 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 woo.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm like, I can't do anything. I can't.
I've still been getting that brain fog. Like,
yeah. So,
and
so
I've had it on and off basically since I had COVID. So
you might want to get that checked out though. That's not good. You still kind of have that.
Well, I got sick again.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I mean, like, and here, you know what I think it is that like I never take like sickness medicine, you know, so no NyQuil, Dayquil. Like if I have a head cold or whatever, I'm like, oh, I'm a rough and tough guy. I'll sit there and tough it out. And this, I mean, I went through an entire thing of NyQuil honey. I went through an entire thing of Dayquil honey. I'm on my second bottle of both of them now. I'm still taking NyQuil at night because I still got the stupid cough. I haven't been taking Dayquil like for the past couple days, but I still take the NyQuil because it makes it easier to go to sleep and everything. But I'll tell you, man, like I that brain fog, like all of a sudden you're just sitting there and you'll be like, yeah, so I was good.
Yeah. And like walking is kind of like,
dude,
you know what I mean? It's kind of like you're just like off balance.
See, you're lucky. You have a single story house.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Like me today, I'm coming down the stairs to go to work, and I'm like, I'm froggy. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second.
Yep.
Like, and you know, it's not like I'm super old and it's not like, you know, my knee, like my one knee shot, but my other knee isn't shot. You know. You have to mix the NyQuil and Dayquil in one sitting. No, that's how you get Forrest Whitaker.
I was about to say that's how you get Forrest Whitaker.
Exactly.
Goo goo gaga.
Exactly. That's how you get Forrest Whitaker. So we don't need that. We don't need that. So that's really sad to hear about the pup, man. Like,
yeah, and like I said, she was 16. We did the math. There's like 112 in human years. I mean. And we had that love-hate relationship, but at the end of the day, she was a good dog, and I was sad, you know, just, and it hits you because, you know, you wake up in the morning and she's not there, and she's normally there, you know. And I joked with Nicole when she was still alive because she was so old, and she was like bow-legged, and she had this little jerky thing she'd do, and she's looking at me when I wake up in the morning, and I'm looking at her like, damn, you're still here, and she's looking at me like, damn, you're still here. But yeah, so we did. Like I said, it's sad. I do miss her, you know. But so we're down to one. We're down to Izzy, the golden, the yellow lab beagle mix, and I don't know. I can't tell if she notices that the cat and the other dog's gone. You know what I mean? Like you can't really. I know she was clingy with Nicole, but I think because Nicole was crying, so she was kind of.
You know what I think's changed a lot of it is the work from home atmosphere.
Yeah.
You know, like because people are home more often with the pets now, the pets might not be as traumatized by the loss of the other pet, you know, because like you remember when I had Landis and Artie, both of them, like they'd stay at the house for 8 hours at a time while I'd go to work or whatever. And, you know, like I'd come home and every so often there'd be a mess or whatever. But, you know, like for the most part, like the house was fine whenever I go away. And you know, obviously that's because I would, you know, not be here. But I think now if I had two dogs and one of them passed and I'd still be here working from home, I think that like, yeah, it would suck for me, but the other dog would at least still have something, you know, and someone to come up to and actually, like, you know, rabble rouse with a little bit.
Yeah, because Haley's room is my office. You see all this stuff behind me, but she will lay on the bed right there while I'm working all day. She'll lay there. She'll snore. I'm trying to do conference calls. She's snoring, but you know what I'm saying? And then I get up and we'll go, like you said, just roughhouse with her, play with her for a little bit, then I'll go back to work. So I think you're right. That might be too.
And I, like even with that, I think that your dogs, I mean, that I hate to say this, but they went the right way, where like the older one passed, so you still have the younger one, like because with me, Artie was like 8 and Landis was like 10 at the time that Artie passed, and then Landis went another 3 years, but like she she'd already had a bad hip and everything, like
blind.
She, no, I don't think she was. I don't think
she was deaf.
She was deaf.
She was deaf, yeah. And she went, and then you said she wasn't Bart. That's still my favorite story. She had like Bart in 3 years, and then
all of a sudden, like somebody's walking through the house and she smells it, and she's like, "Arch, Arch, Arch," and she's like freaking herself out because she's she's barking, and she's like, "What is that?" Like, but yeah, that really sucks, man. I'm sorry to hear that. In interesting news, I can't really talk about like what it is, but I am supposed to have a meeting with a filmmaker in the next couple weeks about the possibility of working on a project with them where they want to take the film that they're working on and kind of transfer it into like a comic script.
That's cool.
So in the next couple of weeks, I'll probably be put on some sort of non-disclosure agreement and not be able to talk about it at all.
Now, could you trade off if you did their script and comics? Maybe they'll look at doing a junior high horror or a Mandalorian kind of.
So obviously, I'd never do anything with Mandalorian as like a movie or TV show or anything because I get sued by Disney so fast.
Oh, but true, yeah.
But I would sell it to Robot Chicken, so that they could make it. But
junior high horror, you might get sued too, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So interestingly enough, and I always tell this story because there's two sides to this story, by the way. The first part of it is that people always ask me like aren't you afraid that you'll get sued? Right. And like me working on parodies, I kind of understand the parody law at this point where like Chris Barrett wants to know what I can tell you about the project. It's a horror project, and the film is actively being made, but for fear of losing the possibility of being able to work on it, I won't really go into anything else. Joseph, you're absolutely right. I do have Immortal. I actually have about 4 or 5 original IPs that I talk with Tino about quite often. And one of them, I've even talked about on here is Exit 49, the horror project that I've got. And when you asked like would I be talking to them about doing anything, I did mention that I have a horror project that is perfect for TV or film, but it's not really written down yet. It's just all in my head right now.
Right.
So Chris Barrett's question here is: you wouldn't sell the Mandalorian if Family Guy or Robot Chicken came to? No, I absolutely would. I would license it out, or I would ask for I would totally sell it to them, just as long as they gave me some sort of credit, and I got to be one of the voices in it,
yeah, but still that would you would still get sued. Like how would that still?
No, so just like anything else parody, like Robot Chicken doing a parody of it, it would be like an episode of their show, and it would just be called The Mandalorian, which would make fun of the Star Wars stuff.
Gotcha.
And they already have a history of not getting sued for doing Star Wars parodies, so they would be in a much safer spot than I would for that. But going back to what I was originally saying, when it comes to junior high horrors, like I was always asked, like aren't you afraid you'll get sued? And I always joked around that I said if I get sued, I did something right. Because if you have them sitting there giving you a cease and desist, or they're sitting there telling you that you can't do it, then there's a reason why they're telling you can't do it, right? It's because you're doing it better than they would. So far, I'm guessing they haven't felt that way, because obviously Junior High Horrors is in its 5th year, and Yeah, so Chris Barrett just said they've done 3 Star Wars parodies. I think they actually had George Lucas on board when they did their parodies as
Yeah,
well.
I think they did too.
But I did mention to the woman that that I that I do have a project that is very easily converted into like TV or movie type scripting if they wanted to do it, if they wanted to find other horror projects in the future. So yeah, but I'm gonna say that they're probably, in terms of scale, like size and everything, they're probably the same size as I am when it comes to comic books.
Gotcha.
So like, you know, I don't know who's starring in their film or anything else. You know, like I haven't been privy to the information yet, but a buddy of mine set me up with them, so I'm supposed to have a meeting with them over the next couple weeks
That's awesome,
and
dude.
see
That's
whether or not it can turn into either, you know, a new editing gig or maybe me converting their script into a comic book script or whatever to actually make the project into multimedia. So it sounds like it'd be pretty cool. Other than that, I get to turn in the junior high horrors covers for Strangest Thingies Forever is what we're calling it now, not Strangest Thingies 2. And those go to the distributor on Thursday, so they'll be in previews so that they come out in July, which, if you hadn't heard, Stranger Things has part 1 of its season coming out in May, and part 2 comes out July 1st. So having the book come out in July, being a Strangest Thingies book, kind of alludes to it being a better seller, just because Stranger Things will still be in people's minds at that point.
Yeah.
So we're pretty excited about that. Eric turned in 2 really awesome covers. One of his covers is a Stranger Things parody cover. You know what? Maybe I can pull it up on my PC real quick while I'm sitting here talking about it and show you guys. Like his covers recently. Joseph actually got to see, I think, the Stranger Things cover, the Strangest Things 1 cover that Eric did. That was just like phenomenal. And Tino, I think you got that one from Matthew.
Yeah.
So
and I'll get the second one too when it comes out.
We have 5 different covers for this book. Here we go.
He's got all your books. I think he's your biggest fan.
I don't know. I have a guy named Edwin who is probably my biggest fan, but here is
the new one.
There's the cover for the new one.
Oh, that's awesome.
I decided with the logoing and everything, I went all red and black with it, which I thought was pretty cool for the A cover. The B cover is a Justice League International parody cover that Eric really loved.
That is cool. Chris Barrett said, why not launch Strangest Thingies in June in the gap in between parts 1 and 2?
So that's a great question, and I can answer it pretty easily. The reason why is because we didn't know when Stranger Things was coming out, and we missed the date for that. So here's one of the covers that I did for it.
Oh, I like that.
And then
the dude in the middle.
What's that?
The dude in the middle.
That's Papa.
Okay.
So anybody who's watched Stranger Things knows Matthew Modine's character. And then, of course, my favorite of my covers, I did a Sin City parody cover. This year being Frank Miller's Sin City's 30th anniversary, I did a Frank Miller Sin City style cover for a book called Kid Slapshot, which will be coming out, and I also did that one now. And then Sean Beck, who has done covers for us in the past, is coming back because this might be the last junior high horrors book that we do. I know everybody's kind of upset about that, but so he did like a Looney Tunes style.
That's funny.
and it actually says "Good Night, Nancy" at the bottom of it. Let me see if I can scroll down.
I like it.
So those are the 5 covers. We're going with 5 covers this time. Normally we only do 4 covers, but I wanted to give Sean the opportunity to put one more cover in, since he had worked on like I think 10 of the different books in terms of the covers, and he even did the cover for the Halloween special that we did. That was a free book. So RHCP, RHPS. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Chris Barrett. So Joseph, thanks for the kind words on the covers. After that, Eric and I will jump right into our next project. I guess I'll have to. Well, they will be available both through the keenspotshop.com and of course one of the other things that I've been talking about is trying to figure out a low cost option to set up my own online store. So as I start getting more projects out there, I'm probably going to try to buy like robpotsypotjack.com or something so that I can actually start my own online shop as well. Other than that, that's really all I've got going on besides trying to get over this stupid cold. Like it's been a week now, like almost 10 days that I've been under the weather. So the reason why I don't want to set up an eBay store, because this is a question from Joseph here. The reason why I don't want to set up an eBay store is they charge so much in terms of their fees. So like they want like 5% of whatever it costs, plus they actually want like an actual fee per listing item. So like it's almost unfair to the consumer trying to buy stuff from us doing that. And I also don't want I don't want to do anything that would jeopardize my relationship with Keenspot in terms of selling through the Keenspot shop. That's actually why we actually tested out the whole idea of doing the autographed copies of Mandalorian with the last issue. The eBay stuff is stupid expensive.
What about Amazon? Besides the fact that I haven't gotten my book yet, could you sell them through Amazon?
So I have an Amazon shop for like t-shirts, but I haven't really looked into like book sales or anything else. Probably, but I'm sure that they charge something too. And the fact that the paper shortage is still disallowing smaller publishers from being able to print entire graphic novels is to this day the reason why we're now almost a year late on Junior High Horrors Volume 1. However, I can tell you if it's a world exclusive or not, but because we still haven't been able to get the print version of the graphic novel out in September. Now, Chris Barrett was asking why we didn't try to do in between certain times for whatever reason with certain things, with Strangest Thingies. With this, in September, we're going to put out a special edition Junior High Horrors book, which is going to be the redrawn issue number 1 and issue number 2 as a single story, and we're going to call it the special edition. It'll have backup materials and things like that in there too, so that people get like some of the original sketches that I created and everything when we actually created Junior High Horrors, as well as like the background story as to like where it came from, like where the idea came from, the concept, everything else. And then for the first time ever, because I haven't actually shown any of Eric's original sketches when he was actually trying to be the original artist on the project, we'll probably show some of his original sketches in there too. So interestingly enough, just in time for Halloween, we will be doing a special edition Junior High Horrors, which, like I said, will be 2 stories in 1. So anybody that hasn't actually been able to read number 1 or number 2 because they couldn't find them in their stores will now be able to get a new version of that.
Cool.
Yeah, it'll probably be 40 pages of story and art for I think $7. So I think that it's going to be a very good value compared to other comic books out there nowadays. You know, like it will be a little bit more expensive because obviously with the amount of pages and everything else, it'll have to be a little bit more expensive. But it'll probably have the poster insert and everything else like we've been doing with the past couple issues. But the cool thing is it's the first time that Eric's artwork from number 1 is seen because obviously Eric came onto the project with issue number 2, so we're re-releasing it with his new artwork, and it'll be the first time that those first 2 issues are dyslexia friendly as well.
Okay.
So pretty awesome stuff there. Other than that, like I said, don't really have anything going on. I've got some irons in the fire in terms of scripts I got to write. I really want to jump onto the horror project. I really want to jump onto my sci-fi project. Eric will be drawing the sci-fi project. It's going to be sci-fi meets pro wrestling, so it's going to be pretty interesting. We'd really like to try to get the first issue of that like ready to go and everything before WrestleCade this year, so that, you know, maybe we can actually get a table at WrestleCade and, you know, sit with all the pro wrestlers. I think that'd be kind of cool. You know, because there are a bunch of pro wrestlers that are comic book fans, so it would make a lot of sense to intertwine those 2 universes, I feel. So and then of course, like I said, the horror idea, I really want to get that down on paper, at least the first issue of it, because I like the idea of being able to bring different artists on for each issue, so that way, you know, and maybe even different writers, so that I don't have to write everything about it. What about using ShipStation? I never heard of it, Chris Barrett. You might have to message me on Instagram or something to give me the skinny on what that is. I know that Eric Kent is using something. Come on, Rob. You know I buy comics from Indiegogo at $25 or more a book. I'm not too awfully worried about paying a bit more for a collected. Yeah, Joseph, I'm kind of the same way, although I do try to keep my Indiegogos and Kickstarters down to about $15 a book. But yeah, I'm with you on that, and I've been doing it a little bit more frequently recently. Waiting on Liam Sharp's Encore Gold to finally get to my house. It's supposed to be here this week. And then a buddy of mine who actually just read The Mandalorian just sent me a copy of his parody book called Something's Grilling the Chicken, which is a parody of Something's Killing the Children. So I can't wait to read it. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but it's called Something's Grilling the Chicken. Thought that was pretty funny, so I'm pretty excited about reading that one. So yeah, there we are. I heard about ShipStation while listening to Conrad. I don't know too much about it myself. I'll look into it. I don't have a lot of time this week to look into anything, but I'll give a look-see on it. And you know, if it looks like it's going to be a good fit, then, you know, maybe. But I just I want something that's going to let me put up each issue of the comic, both signed and unsigned, so that people can buy whatever they want. So yeah. So Tino, you ready to talk about some wrestling?
Yeah, let's do it.
So obviously we talked about that. We talked about NXT last week, so we'll talk. You know, obviously NXT tonight is called Roadblock. All right, so let's see. We talked about Tony Khan buying Ring of Honor. Was there anything on Rampage that you wanted to talk about, Tino? I don't really remember anything for Rampage. I remember Christian Cage getting into the Face of the Revolution ladder match from that. And the joke there that I have, Tino, and I've got to ask you, like, real quick, the Face of the Revolution, they were talking about how this is going to be like the next age star, right? Like the new age stars and everything. So you look at everybody that's in that ladder match, and it's Orange Cassidy. Okay, that makes sense. Ricky Starks. Okay, that makes sense. Wardlow, obviously that makes sense. Keith Lee. Okay, maybe not the face of AEW, but he's a newer star. I totally get it. And then Powerhouse Hobbs, and you're like, okay, all those guys are young, all those guys are skilled, whatever. They're perfect to be the face of the Revolution, right?
Right.
And then they throw in like 60-year-old Christian Cage.
You say 60?
That's what I said. But obviously
Well,
he's mid 40s, but
yeah.
mid to late 40s even. But
I
but
don't
like,
know, because we had another 60-year-old.
well, we'll get to that. We'll get
Yeah.
to that. Obviously, we'll get to that. But that's what I'm saying is, like, how could he be the face of the revolution at his age?
I don't know.
Like I know why they threw him in there. It's because he's the king of the ladder match.
Yes.
Or one of the kings of the ladder match, if you will. But come on, the face of the revolution. It's like they're sitting there going, okay, we pay him more than we pay a bunch of these other guys. We better go ahead and put him in a match on the pay-per-view. AEW is already going through their new generation phase. Damn. Yeah, pretty much. It is kind of what it feels like. But if you look at it, it's because when you look at the way AEW is now as compared to even a year ago, it's completely new faces on Rampage and Dynamite every week.
Yeah.
Comparative. Like is Jungle Boy still there? Yes. Is MJF still there? Yes. But like your mainstays, Kenny Omega's not on TV right now. Cody Rhodes isn't on TV right now. Like
he's gone.
He's gone. So you look at what it was just a year ago compared to what it is now, and it's NXT.
That's weird.
Did you see the picture that Chris Jericho posted of when NXT was first announced, and it was like when they had the wrestler that would be like the mentor for the NXT guy, and they were all sitting on the stage, and it was every single one of them has gone to AEW except for the Miz, and they were all in order of when they actually showed up at AEW, Tino. They were all in order of it.
Jericho. Who was it? Jericho. Who came next?
Christian.
Was Christian next?
Yeah.
What about Amiro?
He wasn't up there. It was
I'm
Jericho.
trying to remember all the people on the stage.
It was Jericho. It was Christian. It was oh shoot, I can't remember who the third one is. But then it was CM Punk, and then it was William Regal. So it was like all of them in the order that they showed up in. Oh, it was no, it wasn't Bryan Danielson because he was the Miz's mentee.
Yes.
So, but yeah. So, isn't it weird that like at this point, AEW? No, it wasn't Hulk Hogan. Stop it, Chris Barrett. But when you look at it,
no.
What?
Was Punk? CM Punk? No.
CM Punk was up there. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
But anyways, yeah. So all right, I don't really remember anything for Rampage, like I said, but let's go ahead and talk about both SmackDown and Madison Square Garden. What happened on SmackDown, Tino?
I'm trying to remember SmackDown. I know that Sonya Deville and
Ronda had a match.
They had a match. Who was?
We have a new Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, who was Naomi fighting? Because didn't the boss come down and save her, or vice versa?
That was 2 weeks ago. Last week they were just talking about how they're gonna have the tag team championship match at WrestleMania.
So why are we letting Sammy hold the belt for a week or 2 weeks?
Because he signed a new contract.
You can have the belt, psych. Well, they're saying that Ricochet is the number 2 babyface right now in the company.
Well, on SmackDown.
On SmackDown.
Yeah. The rumor is that they want to push him to be the number. At least currently, they want to push him as the number 2 babyface on SmackDown. And like, I mean, behind Drew McIntyre, Ricochet is probably. I mean, like you think about it, besides Kofi and Big E, which isn't it funny that Big E went from being the WWE heavyweight champion to being a tag team member, losing to Los Lotharios or whatever they're called.
I don't know why they're burying Big E.
I mean, they're burying both of them.
I don't know
burying
why.
Kofi. Kofi's been there damn 20 years, and they're burying him. They're burying him.
I mean, are they setting up something when Xavier comes back? I don't know. That I did. Yeah, oh yeah, that match.
Yeah, they did. You're right. They did do the TNT three-way match between Andrade, Orange Cassidy, and Sammy Guevara. And it was a hell of a match. It was Matt Hardy. That's right. It was. So it was Jericho, then Matt Hardy, then Christian, then Punk, then Regal, and then The Miz. And the joke I saw on Twitter today actually said The Miz to AEW confirmed. and then of course like apparently CM Punk also sat there and said like maybe it was a fake account. I don't know, but it was like and even in the order that it all happened, is The Miz next? Oh God, no, please. Like,
yeah, I don't think The Miz is gonna go.
No, me neither. But yeah, that's what made it so funny was that it literally was in the order that those guys actually showed up in AEW of all things. It pretty nuts. So SmackDown, obviously, not too much happened. Obviously, like we said, Ricochet is the new Intercontinental Champion. It looks like he'll somehow be involved in the Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn match at WrestleMania now. And I'm okay with that. I don't know how you feel, but I think adding Ricochet to that match in some way, shape, or form is going to enhance what we actually get from Johnny Knoxville. So I'm totally fine with that. I find it really funny that they're really trying to push Ronda Rousey as a babyface on SmackDown as well. You know, like really try. And if there is one person or two people that can get her over as a babyface on SmackDown, it probably is Sonya Deville and Charlotte Flair. So all things considered, I guess they're doing the Miz way. We thought that about Cody Rhodes too, about wanting to go back to WWE, but now who knows? So now the MSG stuff, they showed a bunch of it on Raw last night, but I am going to point out that it is the number one viewed Instagram post in the history of the WWE, was showing Roman Reigns standing over Brock Lesnar holding up both title belts. The number one post that they've ever posted on Instagram. That's insane.
And it's going to suck when Brock wins both titles.
And disappears.
Hey.
Well, now the rumor is, last week we reported here that the rumor was that they would announce another title for whoever, whichever program doesn't have a title. And right now it looks like they're going to be listed as the undisputed WWE champion for as long as that belt is held by whoever wins it at this juncture.
Which means we'll go back and forth between shows then.
Well, if it's Roman, Roman will show up on both shows. If it's Brock, isn't it funny that the WWE champion Brock Lesnar hasn't been on Raw since he won, since the first night after he won the title?
He's been on a couple times.
They've shown him on TV. They've shown him from the MSG stuff, but he wasn't there Monday night.
Not this past Monday, no,
he's been on SmackDown. He's been on one Raw since he won the title.
I think he's been on more.
Oh,
yeah. I have to go back and look.
I've actually been watching Raw live the past couple of weeks. He hasn't been on.
I have to go back and look. I think he has.
So, all right. So I'm going to ask you right now, Tino, do you want to talk about Monday Night Raw first, or do you want to talk about the AEW pay-per-view?
Yeah, we can talk about the pay-per-view.
Because, the pay-per-view is going to take up a majority of our time.
All right, we could jump in Raw because that's not a whole lot going on there.
So I think talking about Raw first is probably the way to go. Last week we had Finn Balor win the United States Championship. Good for him. Damian Priest ended up getting involved in his match this week, so I think we're going to get the pay-per-view match between Damian Priest and Finn Balor. I'm okay with that. I think those two will put on a hell of a display.
They're trying to say now that AJ has a contusion in his neck. So are they going to keep him off TV until WrestleMania, or do you think he'll be back?
He'll be back next week. if he's not back next week, he'll be back the week after that. They've got to build that matchup further. And I did not like the build up this week and the weird cut from TV and immediately coming back to it. I thought that was really, really odd.
What do you mean?
The way that the broadcast like just cut Edge off and then immediately went back to the table talking to Jimmy Smith and everybody else.
Okay.
Like it was like what just happened there? Like that was odd, weird, and didn't really fit. But
the lighting messed me too when they did his music, and then all of a sudden he had that weird blue, almost like black light effect.
It kind of looked like a funeral.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's kind of what they were going for there, because he was wearing all black and everything else, and you know, at least he didn't look like Skeletor.
Well, you couldn't really tell because the way it was good. The lighting.
It was like they pulled his face back so that it didn't have those weird like, you know, like crevices and everything.
I'm like, dude, you need to eat.
Yeah,
he's malnourished.
Eat a carb, man. Eat a carb. Just one carb.
To fill out your face. Shit.
But I do have to say, Tino, we got, you know, it's not very often that we get to see a highlight that epitomizes what Monday Night Raw is all about. And we got to see one of the best, if not the best, RKOs that Randy Orton has ever pulled off.
And that match lasted a good.
Dude, that match was almost an hour.
Yes. And I'm watching, and the RKO was good, but I'm watching the promo that Randy did after. You can tell that wasn't, he was feeling it. He goes, in 20 years, I never used, I'm going to use the F word. I'm like, he's going to say fuck. And he said, he is my friend. I was like, and you're right. He's never called anybody his friend.
Never.
He hadn't had friends. He's always been a viper. He's always been a loner.
Yep.
So I don't know if he got wrapped up, if that was scripted, or if he really, really thinks highly of Riddle.
I don't know, and you know, we can ask everybody watching what their opinions are there. I think it's really interesting to me when we're talking about the Randy Orton after the match celebration, because you're right, he's never called anybody his friend, but you know, like instantly online people are like uh-oh, Randy's getting really, really positive here. That means that a swerve's coming, you know.
And he even got on the rope and was dancing to Riddle's music, and he got close, and I thought the same thing when he was in Riddle's face. They got real close.
There's no way that he's going to turn on them while they have the titles, right? Yeah. But I'm also hoping, and you and I have already said this multiple times, I'm hoping it's not Randy that turns.
Yeah, I think it'll be Riddle.
You know, Randy at this point in his career pretty much can be a babyface the rest of his career. He's been there 20 plus years. Like I wouldn't, and obviously to keep Randy on TV as much as they have this past year, they've given him half the workload because obviously he's been working with Riddle the whole time. You know, and it started out, and you know, the stories are out there that you know, the very first time that he saw Riddle, and you know, like I told the story a couple weeks ago about how like he's like, hey, there he is, what's going on, man? And Riddle's just like, what's up? And then just walks off, and he's like, the fuck, man, like I'm Randy Orton, you don't just sup me, like come on, like I'm sitting there like trying to talk to you backstage, you're gonna talk to me, you know, like, and obviously like he didn't realize that's just who Riddle is, right? Yeah. And then of course it got to the point where they were on screen together, and it became like the Austin trying to pop the Undertaker moments, and everybody else trying to pop the Undertaker moments, and you know, like all this trying to get him to break character. And of course the first time Randy's just like, shut up, Riddle, shut up, you know, and he's like, but I can't just tell him to shut up every week, I gotta come up with a new way to do it every week. So I always liked that. I always thought that was cool, like how they, you know, and how it's really become an RK bromance.
I think my favorite is when he's like, and Riddle's like, and Randy's like, and he like,
give me the key,
and he tucks it away in his pants or something,
or he throws it away.
Yeah,
and Riddle's like, aw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those two are so great together. It's like peas and carrots.
Peas and carrots.
But again, we got to see one of the greatest RKOs of all time. And I mean, we're 20 years into his career, and they still talk about the one at WrestleMania with Seth Rollins. They still talk about the one with Evan Bourne, where he did the shooting star press.
Mm-hmm.
Every time they sit there and they go from out of nowhere, he literally pulls a new one from out of nowhere.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I sent you a video of what happened after Monday Night Raw went off the air, and it didn't actually show what happened at the end.
I don't think I got that video. When did you send it?
It's on TikTok.
Oh, you might have sent. I haven't seen it yet. Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh, so okay. Well, we have one more thing we really do need to talk about for Monday Night Raw, and that's it, right? Like this match obviously had Kevin Owens sitting in the backstage area like this, had Seth Rollins sitting there going like this. Like both of them obviously felt like whatever they do now, they're not going to WrestleMania because they lost this big time title match. And Kevin Owens said he finally came up with it. He knows what he's going to do, and he'll let everybody know at the end of the episode. And interestingly enough, he gave this promo where he made it super obvious who he was talking about the entire promo.
But they didn't stop until he said the name.
Well, yeah, but like when he was like, and the bottom line here is, I was like, he's just goading us, right? And he's like, I'm calling you out, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then like he basically said, I want you at the KO show in Dallas, Texas, and they're gonna do it, right? Like, or at least you think they are, because Stone Cold hasn't said anything yet.
But then it was weird, like towards the end of that.
But then they played his music, and
I was like, he's there.
And they went to a commercial, and this is where the thing that I sent you on TikTok comes from, is the fact that, you know what,
the glass broke, and then the show ended.
I'm just gonna pull it up. I'm just gonna pull it up, and if we get sued, we get sued.
Hey Ted, I'm writing this movie, and I
shut up. I don't know what that is. I hate how TikTok goes right into a TikTok video. All right, here we go. We'll play this for everybody. Come on. The music hit, right? The commercial comes up.
Well, that's what you're talking about. You sent me. So that commercial came on after the show.
Did you think he was here? This is Cleveland, Ohio, you idiot. There's no chance. You guys don't deserve to have me in this ring, by the way. I know you can do all you want, but just look, take a look at this front row right here. Look at these absolute morons. Yeah, the biggest arcade pro fans out there. What a great reference. Oh yeah, chant it. Yeah. Oh yeah, that always works. You can chant all you want. You don't matter, buddy. You're from Cleveland, Ohio. I used to love Cleveland until I got here. Then I realized this place sucks almost as bad as Dallas, Texas. It really does. I take a joke about your sports teams, but I'm a little more sophisticated than all of you. I don't watch dumbass sports. Here's the thing, Cleveland. I say this from the bottom of my heart. I really, really hope I never, ever have to come back here again.
And unfortunately, it cuts before anything goes down in the ring. Potsy. I think you mean Potsy Rooney.
So,
but anyways, yeah. So of course, Tino, we also got the response from one Stone Cold Steve Austin today.
You can play that long ass driving video he did.
No, I'll cut to when he actually gets out of the Kawasaki. But hold on, I will see whether or not I can pull it up really quickly.
And I think when you sent that to me, I text you back. I'm like, dude, he still got it. He still got that. He still got the mic.
How about that statement right there?
Yeah, I got another decade in me. Oh hell.
Still looking for it. Hold on.
Just you sent it to me in a text. Just find the text you sent me.
Oh, I could do that. That would be easy. I found it.
And for 19.
Oh, shut up.
And for 19 years ago, I wrestled my last match in a WWE ring. After 3 rock bottoms, 1, 2, 3, I lost the match. And for 19 years, I've had to live with that defeat, knowing my time was up. Kevin Owens, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for waking something up deep inside me that I've kept buried for 19 years. Ever since you started running that damn mealy mouth of yours, talking about the state of Texas, the great state of Texas, you got my attention. And why would you want to do that, Kevin? I can think of 2 reasons. 1, you are one dumb son of a bitch. And 2, you are fixing to get your ass kicked by Stone Cold Steve Austin. Whether you want to call this a KO show, a match, a fight, a brawl, whatever, I will guarantee you this. In Dallas, Texas, where I started my career at WrestleMania, Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to open up one last can of whoop ass on you, Kevin Owens. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Then he just starts driving again, apparently. Like, why did it take a minute to of driving a Kawasaki 4-wheeler for him to finally sit there and get off the thing to tell us what was going on? Did he have to drive to the WWE camera? Like, what?
I don't know.
So let's talk about this setup. Now, if you notice, based on what Stone Cold said there, he said, I don't care if you call it a KO show. I don't care if you call it a match. I don't care if you call it a fight. What did I say last week?
But
he's not going to make it a match. And if they do, it's going to be a street fight or something else. But Stone Cold is not going to soil his legacy by putting on the black trunks. He's going to come down there in jeans and a 19 years later Stone Cold Steve Austin t-shirt or something, and he's going to come down and they'll start it as a KO show moment, right, where they're sitting there talking, but then it's going to turn into what, and the whole crowd. I mean, 100,000 people are going to be saying what?
Yeah.
And then Stone Cold and Kevin Owens. I mean, I love how Kevin Owens said he's going to give him the stunner heard around the world. I think Kevin Owens does kick him in the stomach once. Steve Austin spins him around, then he kicks him in the stomach, then he gives him the stunner, and that ends the whole thing. But I still kind of think we're going to get the moment where JBL, Booker T, and Shawn Michaels are all going to come down to the ring first and cause commotion. because he's been talking shit about all of them.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then Stone Cold's going to have a beer bash with all those guys. Except maybe Shawn Michaels. I don't know if he drinks anymore.
I'm sure he does. It might not get like drunk. I'm sure he'll have a beer.
Especially since it'll be the Stone Cold lager from El Segundo,
Yeah.
which comes out on 3/16, by the way. So are you excited about Kevin Owens and Stone Cold sharing the ring?
Yeah, I am, but it's going to be another excuse for them to bury KO, which I'm fine with because it's Stone Cold. But and I guess that's a WrestleMania moment for him. But I mean, where do you go after that? You know what I mean?
Well, obviously, like we all know that Kevin Owens just signed a new contract with him, right? His contract is worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $2 million a year.
Apparently, they just signed one with Sami Zayn and let him keep a belt for 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
I mean, so why do I think they're going to do anything different with Kevin Owens? You know, they don't want him to go anywhere because they know if he goes to AEW.
I'm going to put it this way, man. Last year, what did Kevin Owens do at WrestleMania?
Was that the Roman fight?
No.
I don't know. I don't remember what he did at WrestleMania last year.
He beat Sami Zayn and then he gave Logan Paul a stunner.
Okay.
Right? So he got the celebrity like rub at WrestleMania last year.
Okay.
Year before that, when there weren't any fans in the stands, he jumped off the WrestleMania sign and
yes,
like broke his leg or whatever against Seth Rollins. He's one of the top attractions in the WWE. They never push him to the moon because is he a Brock Lesnar? No. Is he a Roman Reigns? No. But who else is there before him or above him? Like, it's not Drew McIntyre right now. It's not even Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, he literally is the next tier. If you need someone to sit there and make someone look like fucking gold, and you wanna put the belt on the line, you put him in a match with KO. That's what you do.
I just feel like they're missing. I mean, I see what you're saying, but it's like
you can only have two top champions, and right now, like who else would it be? It's Brock and Roman. Going into WrestleMania, those are your two top guys. They should be the champs.
Yes. And I'm not saying right now, but I'm saying I think he should have another title run.
Oh, absolutely. If I had to guess, his contract talks, because we talked about it last week, Kevin Owens' contract talks were him and Vince. It wasn't him and talent relations. It wasn't him and Johnny Ace. It wasn't anybody else. It was him and Vince. And Vince said, this is what we want to offer you. These are the dates that we want to give you. What do you want? Like, what do you want? Like, what's the negotiation? And they hashed it out, man. Like, and this is a guy who was sitting there saying, I'm going to AEW. Yeah, we'll get Mount Rushmore back together.
Yeah.
Me, Adam Cole, and the Young Bucks. Fuck it, right?
So I don't know why.
Except let me ask you, would he be the world champion in AEW? Probably not. Would he get there? Yeah, because obviously the crowd would be so behind him that they would have to sit there and go, why isn't the belt on this guy at some point, right? But it would take 2 years. There's so many guys ahead of him right now in AEW.
Yeah, I give you that. But at least you know he's going to get, eventually he would. I don't think so, because here's the thing. A WWE championship, like the one that Brock Lesnar has right now, has changed hands like 6 times over the past year. So he'd at least have a chance, because in AEW, you've had 1 title change in a year. And you don't want KO as your TNT champion. No.
He's too good.
Yeah, no.
You don't want him as the Intercontinental or US champion.
No.
He's above that. Like, he doesn't need the championship belt to be in the position he's in ever.
I know. I just feel like he gets squashed. I mean, he's not. You know what I mean? He's not.
Yeah, but let me ask you something. If you could have a moment where The Rock comes down, interrupts you, and says, "It doesn't matter," in the middle of the ring at WrestleMania, do you want that, or do you want a match against Baron Corbin?
You get the rub off The Rock.
Exactly. And you know that a guy like Stone Cold, 19 years, sure, at WrestleMania 30, so 8 years ago, was the last time that Stone Cold sat there and gave people stunners at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like you're getting Stone Cold Steve Austin in the biggest the biggest house draw that you can get, 100,000 plus people in that Jerry's world. And you're getting Stone Cold Steve Austin to kick you in the stomach and give you a stunner and then pour beer on you. You can't possibly tell me that there's a bigger moment for a kid like Kevin Owens, who has a picture of when he was starting out on the indies standing next to Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I get it. Yes, and that's a big moment. But I'm saying after that, we're, you know what I mean? After that, how are we going to use KO?
Who cares? You get your $2 million a year. You get a big spot at WrestleMania every season, and all you got to do, and he's popping himself. Like these are the things that like the top guys don't need a championship, and we say that all the time.
Yeah.
And yet we're sitting there going, "Damn it, Kevin Owens deserves a championship." He doesn't need it. He doesn't need it.
All
right. I'll get off of that so that we can talk about this.
Yeah.
First of all, total score for the entire pay-per-view, what would you give it?
Out of what? Like, how are we rating it?
A, B, C, D, E, A+, B+. First pay-per-view without Kenny Omega.
A strong B.
I was saying a B+.
Yeah.
I was questioning where some of the matches took place. You and I already had that conversation off air. I felt that we'll go ahead and we'll start. Tay Conti versus Jade Cargill. You asked, why are they kissing?
You said you didn't see it.
I missed it, actually. I turned away for like 10 seconds.
Well, the first part of the match before the bell rang, Jade kissed Tay or Taya, right?
Right.
And then when I asked you that, because Taya had Jade down, and then she just kissed
Taya. It's not Taya Valkyrie.
Sorry, Tay had Jade down, and then she kissed Jade. I'm like, what? Why? What are we doing?
It's an insult.
I know, but I'm like,
So and admit it, you were jealous, but
I text. I said, Sammy's not gonna like that.
Yeah, Sammy's not gonna like that. Whoever Jade's with, not gonna like that. So I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm thinking to myself, if this match was on Rampage, it'd be a solid match. But on the pay-per-view, kind of fell flat.
It was a pretty decent match. Like you said, it was a good match. It'd have been a A+ match for like a Rampage. For like a pay-per-view, I think it was just a filler, though.
It was. And it's a title match.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be filler.
Exactly.
You know? Especially when you don't even have the TNT championship being defended on the pay-per-view.
And that's another reason why they probably had that one on there.
Maybe, I don't know. So all right, so they start the night out with Jericho versus Eddie Kingston. Jericho says before the match, if he loses, he will give his undying respect to Eddie Kingston
and shake his hand.
And obviously, he gave that to Proud and Powerful at Dynamite last week. And so we get this match. And like I wasn't paying too much attention to like the sound, but apparently you could hear them calling their moves. And that's kind of disappointing when you're talking to 20+ year professionals.
And I can especially hear it because I put on, because Nicole was in another room.
So you put
I
headphones on.
And so I could hear everything. I could hear the referee talking to him, and things you don't normally pick up because I had those Bose noise canceling earphones. I'm like, wait a minute. I could hear everything. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. So that's kind of disappointing when you hear that. The right guy went over. Chris Jericho obviously is at the twilight of his career. Eddie Kingston obviously is in a position in AEW. He's never going to be a champion, but he'll always hold he'll always hold the fans' interest.
Yeah.
Not quite the same as a KO, but he definitely has that fan interest like a KO, right? Okay. Eddie ends up hitting the 2 back fists, wins the match. He sits there and he says, "Chris Jericho, I respect you. Shake my hand." Chris Jericho puts the hand out and then goes, "Nah."
I thought he was going to go back, but he didn't.
Yeah, I thought Proud and Powerful was going to come out and walk him back down to the ring and make him. And we didn't get that either. And I was a little disappointed even by that because, like, that's good storytelling to me.
Yes.
Okay match. I would say that the storytelling was obviously the biggest portion of it. Wasn't really a catch as catch can or Brian Danielson special.
Jericho's kind of slow and Jericho's kind of slow. He was,
and I think that's because Eddie's slow and Tino's sitting there, folks, and going, Eddie got a gut.
You saw at the end. You said
when he pulled the straps down.
It was like, I mean, I have no room to talk, but I'm not in the ring. I'm a professional athlete either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, who knew a singlet held that up?
Oh my god!
But and it's funny because Jericho now has abs, but you got to wonder whether or not his abs are because he put one of those plastic things on that has the like that forces abs onto your belly. No, I'm kidding. Chris Jericho. It's funny because when Chris Jericho went to New Japan, like 4 years ago or whatever, that he said that he put on all this weight because they like when the Americans or the white wrestlers have meat on the bones. So he added weight, and I mean he was giving great performances, but you could definitely tell that like it wasn't the body style that we were used to seeing with Chris Jericho. And now we're back down to like he's got abs again. And he's got himself into shape again. He still looks like he enjoys the beer, but or the bubbly. But and I even liked how someone on Twitter was like, how did Chris Jericho go from this to this? And then the very next picture said a little bit of the bubbly. So I thought that was pretty funny. Good match again. I would give that match a C+. But because the storytelling element, it goes to a B-.
Yeah.
The next match may have been match of the night, which was the 3-way tag team title match between Jungle Express, the Red Dragon, and the Young Bucks. And it happened exactly the way that I said it was going to. They were going to work together. Then all of a sudden, as one of them finally went for the pin, the other tag team wouldn't get along with it, and Jungle Boy would sneak out a victory. And what happened? Jungle Boy sneaks out the victory. But excellent match. But it does lead to my one major problem with AEW.
Which is?
A finishing move is supposed to finish a match.
Whose finishing move didn't finish the match?
Nobody's. The entire fucking night. The single finisher did not finish a match at all.
So how did Jungle Boy? I'm trying to remember. How did Jungle Boy finish that off?
I'll put it this way.
He didn't use the snare trap?
No, they did whatever their tag team finish is.
Oh, yeah.
They had to do it a second time. Like the first time is never enough in AEW.
Yeah.
And your main event needing 2 finishers, I get it. Your second match of the night needing 6, 7, 19 super kicks and then 7 finishers, go fuck yourself. I'm sorry. It's called a finish for a reason. Don't use it until it's time to end the match. Now, you sneak one in at the beginning, like Eddie Kingston, hit that snapmare suplex on Jericho right at the beginning, and you're like, holy shit, he might just finish this right here. Yeah. Okay, I get it. You got to do it again at the end of the match because you caught him off guard. He was able to kick out. I get that. But you don't hit 17 super kicks in a match.
It's a super kick party, man. Come on.
Okay. You don't hit it. Like JR even called it out in the main event of the night when Hangman Adam Page hit Adam Cole with a tombstone pile driver. And he said, something's weird when a tombstone pile driver doesn't finish a match. Okay. Tombstone pile driver is one of the most protected moves in the industry, and he had to hit 2 of them on him, and then still have to hit, 2 of the buckshot lariats?
Yeah, but I think one of them he messed up.
Well, it doesn't matter. Like, what I mean, though, is that every single match was like this, Tino.
Yeah.
Maybe the Punk match, maybe he'll hit one go to sleep.
I don't think he was able to hit that because he had the knee.
No, he did hit the one because Friedman ended up falling back into the but even that didn't finish the match. He then needed to use the ring to finish the match. So, but I digress. It's my biggest problem with AEW because we all talk about how John Cena only has the 5 moves at Doom. And yet these guys are using their finishing maneuver multiple times every pay-per-view. There's something wrong with that.
Well, that's called EVP.
What's that?
It's called being an EVP. They can do what the hell they want to do.
But it's Adam Page too. It's Adam Cole sitting there hitting. How many Panama Sunrises did he hit in that match?
He hit about 2. He hit at least 2, maybe 3.
He hit at least 2, which means the match should have been over, right? So I have a problem with that. All right. I give this match for the 3-way dance, even with my problem with it there. I give it an A- because I'm a big Red Dragon fan. But the star of the match was Jungle Boy.
Yes.
The 2 other teams were able to limit Luchasaurus, who I don't know how he does it, but dude is an actual luchador in a guy that's like 6'9"'s body. Like, what the fuck, man? Like how is he Rey Mysterio and the Undertaker all rolled into one?
Hey, I don't know, but it's amazing. And I'm sure WWE is kicking themselves for letting them go.
So, Red Dragon looked great. Kyle O'Reilly. Isn't it funny that Kyle O'Reilly has been world champion in singles, and yet now he's relegated to being back to Bobby Fish, and he will be until Bobby Fish gets injured again, because Bobby Fish gets injured every 4 to 6 months. If Jason was in here, he'd get mad at me for saying that, but it's true. And then Kyle O'Reilly obviously will go on a singles run at some point after that. So, okay, after that, we already talked about Tay Conti and Jade Cargill. Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker happened exactly the way I said it would. Britt Baker ends up taking, getting the W. And it's because of the 50-50 booking.
So who do they book her? So who?
Well, they've already said that I think Rampage is going to have Thunder Rosa versus somebody else, and the winner of that goes up against Britt Baker again. So sounds like it's going to be Thunder Rosa, right? And it's because they know that Thunder Rosa is the one that should beat Britt Baker, but but have they built Thunder Rosa up enough to beat Britt Baker in those big spots? Because obviously right now, singles matches, they're 1-1, although technically you can't count the lights out match. So,
Right.
you know, so it's interesting there. After that, we get the Face of the Ladder or the Face of the Revolution ladder match. You called this one. Wardlow takes home the Sonic the Hedgehog ring.
And also called the turn.
And you did. We'll get to that. I really didn't think that was necessary for that night. I still don't feel that it was necessary, but the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Apparently, the only injury was to Orange Cassidy or to shoulder.
Yeah, I don't know how the hell what's his name? Ricky Starks. When Wardlow powerbombed him on that ladder, he didn't take it flat like they're trained to do.
It was like his head went through the rungs.
Yes, the back of his head and his neck hit that rung. He power bombed him. Like there was no pulling that. There was no way you could fake that. He power bombed the shit out of him on that ladder.
And he over twisted. Like Ricky over twisted.
I don't know how Ricky finished that match. I thought you were like Ricky's dead, and I thought at least he was going to be injured and he wasn't going to be able to continue. I give him props for being able to get up and continue that match.
I mean that was pretty much the end of that match. You know, Wardlow after doing that just climbed it and
I think there's a few more.
No, because I think that was right after the Danhausen curse. So, Keith Lee looked good during the match. You know, he's the one that apparently injured Orange Cassidy by throwing him outside of the ring. He overthrew him, so he didn't land on Ricky Starks or Christian like he was supposed to. Obviously, you had the moment between Powerhouse Hobbs, Keith Lee, and Wardlow knocking both of them off the stage. Took them both out of the match. Wardlow made it down to the ring. 1, 2, 3. Grabs the. I was waiting for the bling. When he grabbed the Sonic the Hedgehog ring. We were calling it the giant toilet.
No, it says what do you sit on when you hurt your butt?
The hemorrhoid donut.
Yeah.
The giant hemorrhoid donut. Now, obviously, I find it weird though that Wardlow wins this match, and yet Scorpio Sky still gets the next title match for the TNT title before him. The only reason why I think that that's going to happen is because I have a feeling Sammy will lose to Scorpio Sky, so it's a babyface versus heel. Because it doesn't really make sense to have Wardlow beat Sammy at this point, I don't think. So I think you're gonna have Dan Lambert's entire crew get involved with that match, causing Sammy to lose. At least that's what it's looking like so far.
And then Wardlow beats, obviously going to have to beat Scorpio Sky. So I mean, how long do we let Scorpio have that belt before we sit Wardlow on him?
Yeah, but I think it's going to be like a 1 week hold of that belt and immediately beat Wardlow's after that.
Yeah.
Because obviously we're going to get Wardlow versus MJF for that title. And let's go ahead and talk about it. So face the Revolution ladder match. What do you give the score?
I think it was good. I think it was a B.
I'll go B. I liked it. I say a B. CM Punk versus MJF. MJF starts the match by having Cult of Personality play. They cut it off like right after it starts, and it goes into MJF's music, and he sits there and he's just laughing at everybody in the crowd. And then what does CM Punk do?
And I never heard it before, but like I was like, what is this? And it's probably his indie. So come to find out, it's his ROH music.
I believe it was AFI that played his
and he came out in his old ROH gear. So
not exactly. It was a new version of the gear.
Yeah.
Like it had XXX on the sides and the back rather than saying CM Punk down the sides.
Yeah.
But yes, it was a throwback to his Ring of Honor gear. Obviously, something that Tony Khan had something to do with. What did you think of the match?
It was very bloody. It was very physical. But as far as dog collar matches go, something was missing. Something, and I can't put my finger on what it was.
You think that's why they broke out the thumbtacks?
Yes.
They knew it wasn't quite that. Now, obviously,
something wasn't
supposed
clicking.
to be there.
Huh?
That spot was obviously always supposed to be there,
Thumbtacks?
but the thumbtacks.
Okay.
But you think that something was missing from the. I felt that the story was excellent.
Yes.
I felt that Max held his own again, which surprised me. Because so far, every time that kid's been given the ball, he's scored a touchdown.
And then when they disappeared and he went under the ring a bit. Remember, I said, I bet you Max is blatant. And he came up.
And that's exactly how it looked like CM Punk did it on Dynamite, if you remember. Okay. Like, it looked like his head went underneath the ring, all of a sudden came back out. And I mean, like, it wasn't even just blood. It was full force Crimson Mask.
And yeah, Punk was more, MJF wasn't that. I mean, he was bleeding, but he wasn't like anything. I think Punk must have fucked up when he bladed himself at that.
I think that they probably put, instead of putting staples or stitches in the other night, I think what they did was they just super glued it back together because they knew they were going to bust it back open, and obviously the easiest way to go hard ways is to already have a cut, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of looked like that, and I mean, he lost. I mean, 2 nights out of 4 nights, he lost a ton of blood. Like that. It was sick. The collar itself and the chain probably weighed 60 pounds for as long as that chain was. So I mean, like the fact that those guys were moving as quickly as they were throughout the match, I thought was pretty impressive. The wherewithal to know whether or not your opponent went over the top rope or under the bottom rope or through the ropes to then come back in the same way.
Yes.
Impressed the shit out of me.
Yes.
Because normally when you see something like a dog collar match or strap match or whatever, it's always tap the 4 corners to win the match kind of thing. And this obviously wasn't that. The one thing that caught me off guard, though, was I thought this match had to be ended by someone saying they quit. Like, I know it wasn't an I quit match, but the way the way that they were building the match up was I won't ever quit.
And then when MJF grabbed the microphone and came back in the ring with the microphone, yeah, I can see that. And you also noticed that
they said, "Eat shit, Max."
Somehow MJF's collar came unhooked.
Yeah.
And I thought he was going to take advantage of that. And then when he didn't, and the referee came back and hooked it up, I'm like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Right. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right there. Though it did look like they could do something with it, but Max was so exhausted at that point, he was just in the corner, like. End of the match, you get obviously the next turn in the storyline between Max and Wardlow. Wardlow comes down because Max is screaming for him. It's, Wardlow! And of course, you hear Shivani sitting there. Why is he calling for Wardlow? Come on, Shivani. You're better than that. You're better than that, Shivani. Come on. So of course, Wardlow comes down, all cleaned up, all dressed up for the occasion, and he's like, "Give me my ring." And he's like, "I must have forgotten it."
Yeah, that was a little hokey.
I mean, it's super hokey because obviously, as soon as CM Punk sits there, it gives him the go to sleep, and notice he gives them the go to sleep, and Max is standing there like this for a second, arms raised, like and then falls right back right onto the thumbtacks. Now, this is the coming of age, like paying your dues match with like one of your heroes, right? That's why when you have the thumbtacks in there, Friedman's the one that takes the thumbtacks bump. It reminds me of Backlash 2004.
Punk took a bump in the thumbtacks too.
He did.
Yeah.
But it reminds me of Backlash 2004. Randy Orton, Mick Foley. You think that Mick Foley's going to be the one that goes into the thumbtacks because he's wearing all the extra clothing and everything. Turns out that it's Randy wearing nothing but the tights that goes into the thumbtacks, and you're like, wow, good for Randy. Good for the kid sitting there like taking the bumps and leaving the old man to sit there and still lose the match. But in this case, Max takes the bump, also loses the match. Obviously, setting up the Wardlow feud going forward. Not really a setup. We all knew it was coming. Wardlow ends up leaving the ring right on the apron. Punk sits there and he's like, "Well, you did that for me?" Now, he also put the ring on his middle finger, if you noticed.
Yes.
Obviously another display there. So,
I was reading Joseph. I'm sorry.
Most of these names I've never heard of, and I haven't watched wrestling since the Attitude Era. Well, Joseph, we're about to hit you with one because the match that happened after that involved a man called Sting.
The match was pretty good.
No, the match was a train wreck. On purpose.
Sting
at 62.
So, Joseph, I don't know if you ever watched ECW, but you know how you used to climb up in the balconies and just jump off of people?
Like climb on top of people and just jump off of them?
Just jump off the balcony and there's somebody laying on a table underneath them. Yeah, Sting at 62 did this shit. And I was like, and Rob, because we were watching Rob, Sting's crazy.
Hey, you know what it reminded me of? Okay, now we talk about like Joseph sitting here saying that he doesn't remember too many guys except for like the Attitude Era guys obviously would remember Sting. Well, remember when Edge won his first Money in the Bank ladder match and ended up becoming the world champion? Who was his ladder match on a Monday Night Raw against like right after that? Do you remember, Tino?
Edge? Was it Flair?
It was Ric Flair.
Yes.
In a fucking ladder match.
Yes.
And Ric Flair bled like a stuffed mule. Like just bled everywhere. And what did I say that night? Ric Flair's going to die in that ring.
Yes.
That was like 15 years ago. Okay. Sting
is going to die in the ring.
Is going to try to die in the ring. Like it's going to be the loser of this match
dies. It's a fight to the death.
Like I just
like Squid Games meets wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, like Sting jumped off the balcony, through 3 tables to the next level down, and then got back into the ring.
That amazed me that he got
and when he was in the ring, he was like he had no idea what was going on because he didn't.
Sting's 62, okay, and he did that. If I did that now at 48, I'm like, match is over. Just give my check. I'll lay here. You get the stretcher. Take me out. Yeah. I'm not getting up. Not that I would probably do that to begin with, but if I'm like, I will talk to Tony before that. I'm like, if I do this, I'm done. Darby's going to go by himself because I'm done.
What are they paying him?
Oh my God. Yes, that's Joe. It's the same Sting from WCW.
Yes, it is the same Sting, and you can tell because his hairline starts here now. Like mine actually still has a little more hair than his does, but he literally his hair starts here, and it just he's got that old man hair. Like it's like 7 strands of hair that he just greases back like my grandfather used to at 85 years old. It's ridiculous. But to watch that man sit there and dive off into the crowd and all this other crazy shit, like he literally is hanging out with someone like half his age in Darby Allin, maybe even a third of his age.
Yeah.
Like
Darby's
a third of his age.
Darby's
And Darby's sitting there going, Sting, why don't you just go through 3 tables tonight? And Sting's like, I think I can do that. Let's go ahead and do it. He's got no. Hogan has a cul-de-sac. He's got the whole cul-de-sac going, but
Sting at least still has
But no. Sting starts at about here now, but Hogan's is all the way back here. Like, and Hogan's I think is actually attached to his to his do-rag. I don't even think it's actually Hogan's hair anymore.
Yeah, that's like what Paul Heyman his starts back there too.
Well, at least Paul Heyman.
Thank God he stopped with the ponytail.
I know. Like when he still had the ponytail up until like 2 years ago too.
Dude, like if your hairline starts here, you don't need to wear a ponytail ever again.
Well, if you got hair that long, you ought to just
right the
other way. So here's my second problem with this pay-per-view was that this was the second to last match of the night. It didn't deserve it. We didn't even talk about what probably should have been the second to last match of the night yet. But we'll get to it.
Oh, yes.
We'll get to it. But you have to think that the only reason why they put this match in this position, you would think that it's a filler match, except it was a car crash. Yeah. The whole match was a car crash.
Yeah.
Like it should have been, this match should have been the first match of the night. There's no way it should have been semi-main.
I don't know.
It would have gotten the crowd so amped up.
No, because it was a car crash. I don't know if they want to start the night like that.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, they actually started the night with Hook.
I missed it. I'm trying to find it. I want to see Hook and Bone.
Go to Taz's Twitter page and he posted the YouTube link to it.
Okay. To
watch the buy-in. Yeah, you got lucky with a hairline. I need to shave my head. Like right now, my hair, like it looks like right now, it looks like I don't have anything up here, and I just got the Paul Heyman going on.
You got the Bozo the Clown thing going on.
You're a Bozo the Clown asshole.
I shaved mine. See?
Yeah, you look like a Cadbury mini egg.
Hey. You right now, you got the damn.
But I got it on top of the head though too. See, it's just
you got the white George barely. You got the white George Jefferson going on.
Wow. What? You shut the fuck up. So all right. This match, if I was scoring it,
that's a C-.
No, it gets a C+ because of the Sting.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean that move alone gets an A, but the rest of the match gets a D. Like so it bounces at a C+. And at the same time, I don't want to give Sting an A for that because I don't want to see him do that anymore.
What
Chris Barrett saying that Sid should be in the Hall of Fame. By the way, Big Van Vader announced for the Hall of Fame. So good for Leon. It's time, Vader. Time.
Why do I wait till he dies? And I'm not being funny. I mean, why are we doing it? He was, you know what I mean?
He was Hall of Fame worthy back in the day. Yeah. But yeah, and I don't know. But we'll move on to if the tag team match wasn't the 3-way tag team match wasn't the best match of the night, then this was the best match of the night. Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson.
Clinic, ladies and gentlemen.
This literally was like every kind of wrestling match rolled into one. Like you had your actual like mat technique wrestling from Bryan Danielson at the beginning. You had your brawl moments with Jon Moxley, towards the end. You had blood, you had submission holds, you had a little bit of everything going on in this match, and you know, like it really proved more about Danielson than I think it did about Moxley. And what I mean by that is that when you look at what Danielson's capable of doing, we all know that he's an amazing in-ring technician. But when the ultra-violent side of Jon Moxley came out, Danielson didn't skip a beat.
Yeah.
We know that Moxley can sit there and go against people like Triple H. He's done it in the past, right? But we haven't. But we expect him to sit there and go crazy and go nuts and like break out the chairs and break out the toys and everything else and get violent, right? Like we expect him in a Nick Gage kind of match. We don't expect that from Bryan Danielson. If there's one move that I thought Bryan Danielson should never break back out, he tried to do it here. He did the diving headbutt. He missed, which probably protected him better than actually hitting the move.
Speaking of missing, and I'm sorry, I got to go back to that Darby Allin match. You know what I'm talking about?
Go ahead.
The coffin drop. He missed by a mile and still had the nerve to try to act like he hit it and try to pin him. You missed. Well,
he hit him with his head.
I don't think he got his head. Did he get his head?
Yeah. He hit like because Hardy tried to get out of the way and he like hit him with the head like right in the back. But yeah.
I'm sorry. I digress. When you said miss, that reminded me of that.
No, you're right. And of course it's because Darby Allin sitting there not looking how far away the other guy is, and he's like, oh, I can hit him. But yeah, Danielson
never do that diving headbutt.
Danielson takes his second loss in AEW, in classic fashion. You know, like a roll up that Danielson's shoulders weren't down, by the way. It was one of those classic. Danielson's got Moxley in a submission hold. You think Moxley's going to sit there and pass out.
Oh, that's right. He kicks
Moxley
back.
sits there and does the bounce the legs over his head. And while his head is sitting like straight up and down and his legs are over his head, he's got Danielson's shoulders pinned. They weren't, but pinned 1, 2, 3. Danielson loses the match. Danielson gets pissed off and starts beating up Jon Moxley again. Starts another brawl between the two. And what happens, Tino?
Where the fuck did Regal come from?
NXT.
I was not expecting Regal. I was not expecting Regal.
William Regal comes down, and I sit there, and of course my joke is he Steven or is he William? You know, because like he was only William in WWE.
He's still William.
And he is still William Regal.
I like the longer hair because I'm going back and watching the old Raw. Right now they're doing the Raw versus ECW and WCW, and he's still got that high and tight. And now to see him, when he got the NXT and he's starting to let the hair grow, I'm like, that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah. But I loved how he came down and he sits there and he slaps Moxley in the face, and Danielson's just laughing. Danielson's like. And then Regal turns around and slaps the shit out of Danielson too, and Danielson's like, and he's like, shake hands. And
then he went head to head with Moxley too. I'm like, he was like head to head, nose to nose. I'm like, oh shit.
And then they both just shook hands. And
so I don't know if it's respect or they scared because Steven Regal gonna fuck him up.
Right. Steven Regal gonna fuck him up.
Yeah.
That's William Regal.
I think he could. I think could.
It's funny because like no one was ever scared of William Regal like that back in the old wrestling days. But now that he's been a authority figure for 10 years.
Well, they used to have him because he come up with that music, that dark music, like after that did the horns, and it came into that darker music.
Well, so let's be real. In real life, everybody was scared of William Regal.
Oh yeah, because he's a tough.
Like him and Fit Finley, everybody was actually scared of those two guys.
Yes.
You know, but like in the ring,
yeah, I'm not scared.
Big fucking teddy bear. You know, like it's a real man's man.
Get you the brass nuts.
So all right, that match I'm going to give an A-.
Yeah, I agree.
And the appearance of William Regal, I give an A because it caught me off guard. I would have expected that he would have had to have been there or been out for at least 30 days, and I don't think he was.
Who? Regal?
Yeah.
I think he's not longer than.
I don't know.
He's been on NXT.
No, but he didn't get released until just recently.
And I was reading somewhere too that Hardy had let slip that he was supposed to be going to AEW, and then WWE is trying to sue him because he didn't something about he was still within his 90 days, but I don't think he was in that 90-day period, right? I think
which one? Jeff Hardy?
Yeah.
Well, I know that Tony Khan basically said that he wants to talk to Jeff as soon as his 90 days are up.
But I think I was reading something. Jeff let it slip that he was going to AEW, and then WWE was about to sue him and AEW.
Yeah, no. WWE doesn't want any of that, but they wanted to have Jeff Hardy go into the Hall of Fame, but if he had gone into the Hall of Fame, like they don't want you wrestling after you go into the Hall of Fame unless you're Edge, apparently. So, or Goldberg, I guess.
Yeah.
Main event. My favorite part of it was the crowd sitting there going, "Let's go, Adam. Adam sucks. Let's go, Adam. Adam sucks."
Yes.
You know, like you got Adam Page, you got Adam Cole. I was shocked that we didn't get a Kenny Omega appearance.
That's what I thought.
I was impressed that the match. I mean, the match went long. I felt like I'm okay with these matches being 20 to 25 minutes. But as soon as, and this goes back to what I said about the multiple finishing moves, as soon as you have to go to the well 3 or 4 times with finishing moves, you're extending the match longer than it needs to be. You know, like the story had already been told. Everything had already happened. This wasn't even the biggest story going into the pay-per-view. Obviously, Punk versus MJF was probably the biggest story going into the pay-per-view. Jericho and Kingston was a bigger story going into the pay-per-view, if you ask me, than this match was. I'm still okay with it being the main event because I think that your top championship belt should always be the main event unless you're doing a lights out match afterward or whatever. I give the match a B+, just because the two competitors involved obviously like have all the talent in the world. Adam Cole probably is the best wrestler in the world right now, and yes. Adam Page is probably one of the top 10. Punk versus MJF is like 7 years, and yeah, that's kind of true, Chris Barrett. Yeah. But I felt like the match went long. Like it's like watching one of those movies where all of a sudden you're sitting there going, yeah, this is a really good movie. And then you're sitting there like going, but I really have to pee. Like, why is this match still going on? Like, I have to pee at this point. Like,
yeah.
You know, and I shouldn't ever feel like that with that kind of match.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not trying to even say that I'm disappointed by it. Like I said, I give it a solid, B+ for the match. But like I could have went 10 minutes less. Sad.
Yeah. And we were talking about the using your finisher more than once. When he did the first, when he comes behind you, he kicks you, and then he comes behind you with the knee, and it didn't go down. But because he didn't pull the knee pad down. So when he pulled the knee pad down, what's your excuse? You still didn't finish him with that, you know? So
Yeah, and like, why is it that even though AEW, when they started, said we're not going to give you any dusty finishes, every main event always seems to have a run-in?
this one didn't.
Yeah, it did.
Did it?
Yeah, Red Dragon ran down,
Oh,
and
you're right,
so did the Dark Order.
Sorry, you're right. You're right.
Like, why is it that every single main event in the pay-per-views of AEW, like, that happens?
That's a good point. I've never noticed, never thought about it.
You get to use your finisher twice at most. Only in the video games, Chris Barrett. Only in the video games. And like, I'm like, I would have been shocked if any of those top matches had only had one finisher done. Like, it would have made me sit there and go, wow, that was a surprise.
Yeah.
Because every single pay-per-view that I watch from AEW is the same thing. And I know that a lot of people love it and are going to sit there and talk great about it. I'm not even saying this because I'm a WWE homer, because we just watched a Stone Cold Steve Austin thing where he said 3 rock bottoms, 1, 2, 3. Well, there you go.
That's part of the story, though. I think when it's part of a story like the Stone Cold Rock saga, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, that one rock bottom wasn't going to put him away.
Yeah. So that I'm fine with.
And that was 6 years in the making.
Yes. So if it makes sense for the story, I'm fine with it. This doesn't make sense for the story.
Yeah, and all it does is show that the finishers aren't finishers. And I don't like that. Like, it should get back to that where you feel comfortable knowing that if the buckshot lariat gets hit, it's over.
Yeah.
You know, there's only one move in AEW that's protected like that right now. Do you know what it is?
Is it Jericho's
Nope.
It's not to go to sleep, because Guevara's got to go to hell, which is the same thing. The GTH.
Well, and MJF got up after the go to sleep this time, even though it was into thumbtacks.
Okay.
It's the one-wing angel.
Ah.
It's the only move that when Kenny hits it, you don't get up.
Well, what about Britt's? The lockjaw.
I mean, people have gotten out of it. All they have to do is get to the ropes.
Paradigm shift?
Who does that? Is that Moxley?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think that would be the only other one.
But I mean, in 3 years, the one-wing angel, you hit one of them, it's over.
Did he hit? No, he hit it twice on somebody.
Probably Hangman. No, he lost to Hangman. So probably
Christian. I've seen him hit twice on somebody.
Maybe.
But yeah, it's yeah. But again, it was part of the story. I have no problem when it makes sense in the storytelling.
But see that's the only move that you only have to do once and it's over. You know, maybe the Judas effect, although I know that he's hit it multiple times in different matches.
I'm trying to think.
And the Judas effect is terrible anyway. So, like, Jericho's just doing that because he doesn't want to take a flat back bump doing the what is
MJF's? It's the armbar,
yeah, but again, anytime it's a submission hold, all you got to do is get to the ropes.
Yeah, I can't think of anything right now. Yeah, you're right. You might be right. I say the one wing angel and the paradigm shift,
and even the paradigm shift. Like, I don't know. I think there's been at least once where he's had to do it twice. But But the One Wing Angel, who is it? Oh, it's an EVP. You know, if the Young Bucks hit the Meltzer driver, it's over. You know, this was my problem when
Crossroads.
What's that?
No, Crossroads wasn't protected. Cody Rhodes, the Crossroads.
No. So and Ibushi kicked out of the One Wing Angel. Yeah, but Kota Ibushi is his golden shower brother or whatever they call him. His golden lover.
I don't. So yeah.
So yeah, I got nothing else.
I'm done. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like that. Like I said, the pay-per-view, I give it a solid B. B minus.
No, I almost give it a B plus.
I give it a solid B. Yeah,
I'd say B plus. Yeah, I mean it was good. It wasn't as good as what was it, All Out?
Yeah.
You know, it was good. I don't like paying $50 for pay-per-views. Tino and I kind of found a little way around that.
Yeah. I'm hoping the rumor of the HBO Max comes true, and I'm hoping they use that like WWE uses Peacock.
I don't think they will unless they get paid enough to do it. You know, I see it being a library thing, but I don't necessarily see it being a pay-per-view thing. And if it is, they'll probably do it more like HBO pay-per-view, where they still charge $50 for the big events.
Yeah.
So I was joking about that, but apparently Sid is going in this year. There is a high probability that Sid Vicious, Sid Justice, Sid Psycho Sid, whatever you want to call him, will go into the Hall of Fame this year. The other rumor right now is that the Steiner brothers are being looked at as potential.
Oh, that makes sense with Braun,
who made his debut on Monday Night Raw last night.
Yep.
And got the victory over Dolph Ziggler.
Yep. So tonight when I get off here, I'm going to watch NXT.
Yep.
So that's all I got. And you did all our handles in the first part of the show.
Yeah, well, you should still do them again.
All right. So thanks for watching, folks. We want to say thank you to Chris and Joseph and
David,
and everybody who joined us this evening. Thank you for sticking with us.
Shush.
And
Teddy Long. Shush.
I hate that. God, that gets upon my nerves.
I love it so much.
Oh God, it's so annoying. Thank you.
Thank you.
We gotta go. Thank you.
Thank you. Shush. Sorry.
All right, folks, we want to say, imagine Scott cutting a Hall of Fame promo. No. No.
That'll be great.
No. Because if it's a three-way match, you got a 33 and a third chance. No. Maybe they're trying to Shush. Thank you.
Thank you.
We want to say, thank you for watching the show tonight, ladies and gentlemen, sticking around with us. Almost got it. You can check that fool out on the Twitter. I at Potcheck, I'm Hootie Van 91. On the Insta, he is Rob Potcheck. I am SC Tino. On the TikTok, he is Rob Potsy Potcheck. You can check us out on Twitter, Potsy and Tino, Facebook, What a Potsy and Tino Show. Each and every Tuesday, right here on this YouTube on Pots and Pans. We want to say thank you to Adam's House Cat for the wrestling song, which is our theme song. You can get it on iTunes for 99 cents, 99. And until then, folks, the Macho Man is out and he's thinking. Dig it. Oh, yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Peace out. Later.